welcome to We're Not Wizards. We are the best, but not wizards. Enjoy the show!
Somebody's like, they just shouting at me. It's like, I like opening up the fire exit and setting off the alarms. You ever seen any of these old people getting an exercise? I want to see them run.
Is that your Jersey accent? Because that's not bad, Richard. I'm on board.
It's kind of varying between Jersey and Boston, except Boston they can't pronounce their O's, can they? Can they?
It's the R.
It's B-A. It's like, where are you from? Boston. B-A-S-T-O.
It's Boston. Yeah, get in the car.
Get in the car.
Yeah, all my family is from. There's 27 distinct Boston accents, if you did not know. Linguistically, if you have not hit a record on our useless fact tour, there are 27 distinct Boston accents.
Because it's like, get in the car.
Well, you have any of the...
You're going pretty far. But it's a mixture of Irish as well, isn't it?
It has to do with, boroughs in the United States or old neighborhoods in the United States have, contiguous cultures that lead to each other. And Boston's one of them.
Boston.
Yeah.
Where you from?
Yeah, the Cambridge accent is the Boston accent that everybody wants to have. And so those are the people who grew up in and around the Harvard Yard.
The Harvard Yard.
The Harvard Yard. No, then the Southies have this. There are a few distinct Southie accents. There's a few.
There was a comedian on BBC One called Kenny Everett.
Okay.
And he used to do a joke about the Bee Gees.
Really?
He actually used to do. I don't, and we'll do an intro at some point. I might keep this in. I might not. I don't know. It's all just we're heading towards the edge of the cliff. This is the Thelma and Louise.
We've taken a moment. Yeah. We've seen that the helicopter has shown up, and there's only one way to go. There is only one way
to go over the cliff. So we're either approaching the cliff face or we're not. But anyway, Kenny Everett, right? He used to do the riskiest stuff on television. And it was kind of like, so he used to do this sketch where he had three jars, and they were just like tablets. So he'd take a tablet and give him big hair. This was the 70s. And he'd take a tablet, right? And it would kind of make his voice go squeaky. Then it'd take a tablet and give him huge teeth. And one of the jokes was, how do you keep your teeth so shiny? And it was Massachusetts, as in they've got a lot of chew sets, as in false teeth. So there you go. Kenny Everett was a lot of fun. He was absolutely outrageous. He literally, I think he pretended to do an escape act where he went into a cement mixer and then a liquidizer, and then he said it was going to bring him back from nothing. And he ended up getting turned into this horrific pink liquid that then his assistant kind of spilled. And then a Labrador came on from nowhere and just started eating this kind of whatever. So there you go. So that was Kenny Everett, Kenny Everett was funny. He used to have he had a whole pile of characters, and one of them was this.
Did they repeat?
Yeah, I mean, it was a total kind of sketch show, but the stuff he got away with, it was Sunday evening television used to roll up, and he had this sketch show where he basically played he pretended to be some kind of porn star, right? And it gets better than this, right? Right? He called himself Cupid Stunt.
Whoa.
But, on Sunday television. And he rolled with it. Because obviously it didn't take like years later everybody would have the epiphany and go, what do you mean stupid? Oh, okay. But it was all like all done. I was gonna say it was all done in the best possible taste. So at the end of the sketch, he would talk about he'd be in this like crazy kind of event, and then everybody's clothes just fell off. But it was okay because it was all done in the best possible taste. And he used to cross his legs, and then he used to like kind of uncross his legs like a big Sharon Stone. And the legs would kind of go in. You have to, it's like a cultural, he was a cultural icon at the time.
It surprises me what makes it across the pond. I watched way too much Benny Hill. I watched so much Benny Hill as to be disturbing for somebody of my sexual orientation and age.
Benny Hill was so weird because it was like it was again kind of relying on people kind of being absolutely ignorant at the time. That kind of like and he used to be that was where Yakety Sax came in, but he ended up breaking America in half, didn't he? I mean, Benny Hill like went on to become a big star in America.
It was weird. Like, even now, Family Guy, Seth MacFarlane does, occasionally Stewie's like, I'm going to go have a sexy party. And the sexy party is literally just a Benny Hill reference. Like, I thought that was the relationship between men and women, was men chasing around women in their underwear and everybody laughing.
It still is.
I thought that was exactly how relationships were supposed to work.
I was wondering if you'd like some Cool Whip, Brian. I think we should go and have a sexy party, don't you think, Brian? Well, I don't know.
Yeah, exactly. Absolutely. And like the fact that his dad was on the show. Like Benny Hill, I don't know. Benny Hill broke America. Like the things that made it, obviously Monty Python was just forever, and we love that. But what else?
But really Monty Python, okay, so on the flip side, right, we ended up getting kind of like, we gave you Monty Python, Fawlty Towers, Benny Hill, I don't think Kenny Everett was over there. And you gave us a little bit of Kenny Everett. You gave us Knight Rider. I mean,
oh my gosh. David Hasselhoff is an international treasure.
In Germany, they go crazy for him in Germany. I mean, that's what I heard. It's like David Hasselhoff, and it's like, and then I can kind of imagine that kind of works. I don't know why it works, but when somebody said to me, "Oh no, you should," David Hasselhoff is huge in Germany. This was before. I think this was in his wilderness years. Roundabout before kind of Baywatch, after Knight Rider. And then before he kind of became famous, and kind of the whole Baywatch thing just kind of like took off, and he fancied himself a bit of a singer. And I think, but then I understand that, because apparently like one of the things that bands got to go. I mean, you talk about breaking America, but I know of a lot of bands that have kind of headed. They do gigs in Europe, and then they even try kind of like going to gigs in Japan and stuff like that, because they're just trying to find their market. Because once you find your niche market, and you find people that think you're amazing, then you just sell album after album. And apparently David Hasselhoff, the Germans love him.
I'm glad. Everybody deserves to find their audience and find their people. I mean, he does have a very German sounding name, right?
He sounds like somebody said, "Make yourself up a German name." And he's like, I don't know.
I said it sounded like
Hasselhoff.
Richard. I did not say.
Hasselhoff sounds like a German sounding name. That could be quite kind of good. And he did that, and then he was doing American's Got Talent. Well, I don't know why we're talking about David Hasselhoff, but I do remember
I think this is going to be the shortest episode in the history of your podcast. It's going to be like 3 minutes on topic.
Knight Rider was such a thing. And then we had like the A-Team. We got you gave us the A-Team as well. And that was
you got Mr. T and David Hasselhoff.
That's what we got, and we gave you like Monty Python, and you gave us a man who wasn't gonna get on any plane, sucker. And we had toys and everything.
What is your feelings about Monty Python? Like, how much do you love, indifferent or hate Monty Python?
It's okay.
Yeah, I thought for your personality type, you're like, okay. I think The Life of Brian is a brilliant movie.
Yes, I think The Life of Brian is an amazing film, and it touches a nerve with a lot of people, and it actually got banned in the UK. Because the church at the time went, oh, you're just you can't be doing this because this is taking the absolute mick out of Christianity, and it got, and I don't know if it was like a Clockwork Orange kind of a jam, because with Clockwork Orange, Stanley Kubrick basically went, right, I'm just nobody's gonna get to see this film. He says, I'm sick of all the reporting on it, and they just took it out of distribution. I don't know if that was the same with Life of Brian, if it got...
Well, George Harrison gave so much money for that particular movie. That movie in particular, its relationship with the Beatles and Monty Python is it's interesting. Like, Terry Gilliam and George Harrison will then go on to do more stuff together because they liked each other so much.
Yeah.
So, yeah, no, it's a real deal. Like, and at the core of this is absurdities that culturally the English-speaking world has absorbed, and how does that affected nerd culture? I do not think that we would have as much embracing of Dungeons and Dragons if Dungeons and Dragons did not have Monty Python's Holy Grail, and it's as a sort of backdrop for getting together and going on adventures. Right?
I kind of think there's a whole pile of kind of like cultural English kind of speaking culture, which just doesn't translate and come across well, I don't think, in any other kind of countries. I can't imagine, like, say, like the Dead Parrot sketch. I can't imagine the Spanish Inquisition. I can't imagine, like, people having kind of like big huge belly laughs over it. It's absolute kind of like craziness and absurdity.
Well, the craziness, like, British people are so socially reserved in public, and the only people who's worse than them is probably the Japanese people, like, just completely paralyzed by embarrassment. But on the flip side, British comedy is way out there as a sort of safety valve for that pent upness, and culturally, the Japanese people have like anime and some other things to be that release valve. But comedy in particular is a real understanding of whether or not you get a language. You can speak a language and not get its jokes.
Yes.
But once you start getting its jokes, that's the real deal. Like, this came up recently because in the Fight in a Box news, we are our first localization deal for China.
Wow.
Has coming through, and so we're going through pre-press and proofing right now for the Chinese version of Mouse Cheese Cat Cucumber. And so there are things that you learn that are like, this is a game that's zany, right?
Yeah.
And Will loves it. Our Hungry Gamer loves it. And so as we're going through like the translation, the Google translation, and the other kinds of stuff of the rule book and the things like, first of all, the name gets changed. In English, it's Mouse Cheese Cat Cucumber. Yeah. In Chinese, it's Pickle Cheese Cat Mouse. And I'm like, oh, okay. And I asked, why is this the case? And they're like, it sounds way better in Chinese. And I just got to assume that that's the case. And the other thing is, internally, the game refers to itself as Yogurt Cat. So there's a two-word nickname that's self-referential was part of the translation, and I was like, and now it is Yogurt Cat. And then, but the most disturbing one for us was Kaiser Cucumber ended up becoming Caesar Pickle.
Caesar Pickles is like special, doesn't it? It's like, do you want the Caesar Pickle with that? I mean,
like Caesar Pickles. I'm like, oh my god! Like now I want Caesar Pickles in English. I want to pluralize.
Yes.
Like Caesar Pickles is but it's Kaiser Cucumber.
But how do you make sure when you're doing the translations, are there stuff you kind of like? They've come back to you and says, well, you can't have that because if you translate it kind of like a certain way, then it really it doesn't work at all, or it actually sounds ridiculous, or it sounds rude, or it actually sounds wrong. You can't have it at all because it sounds like, take down.
You've got to trust your partners. You got to trust your partners and the people that you're working with. Yeah. And you just do a level of like, okay, but I would love to be huge in China. I want this to be the runaway game success. Mouse, cheese, cat, cucumber.
That's amazing. But then you would turn up. Yeah. You would like turn up, and then you'd rock up there and you say you're the inventor. And it's like, yeah, I'm the designer. And it's like, and then the streets would be lined with like rose petals, and then there would be songs sung in your name, and they would name a street after you, or probably everybody would start to call their they'd be like, this is. I was gonna say, this is my pickle. It's called Caesar.
Yes. I would love somebody to do a stuffed animal Caesar pickle. Yeah. It's really good. Did News Radio make it across the pond, Richard?
What's that?
Did News Radio make it to you guys? Is that something that you ended up watching?
No. I don't remember.
What American comedies from the 90s made it to you?
I see. This is the thing. I don't know if there was
Friends.
Well, Friends did, but then Friends was kind of like, you watch Friends at the time, and it's like, yeah, this is really, really funny, and then you watch it now, and you're kind of like.
What about Seinfeld?
I've never watched Seinfeld. I'm such a terrible person for somebody that's like meant to have their finger on the pulse. Cheers. I watched Cheers. Like I used to watch Cheers. Cheers was really, really good.
What about Night Court then?
No. Frasier.
Oh, that's interesting. I think of those two as a part. Frasier.
And then on the Canada side, Kids in the Hall.
Oh yeah. Now Kids in the Hall.
Kids in the Hall was brilliant. I think for a while, everybody at school
was crushing.
Yeah, exactly. Everybody was going to be going, I'm crashing your head. 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 But I think everybody was like teenagers at the time. If it was primary school when we watched it, everybody would have went about going, by crashing your head. But because we were like teenagers and we were cool, it was almost like a secret code. You didn't go about and tell people that you were crushing their head. You waited until maybe somebody mentioned it to you, first of all, that they were crushing your head, and then you knew that they understood that you could crush their head as well. And then you could have this... Because if you said you were crushing your head to the wrong person, they'd go like that. You're an arse. And then they would walk away. So it was a bit... So there was that. What else? See, the other thing that was really, really big... that I watched all the time was Quantum Leap.
Okay. This is where we're getting back. Like, where is the nerd overlap between nerd culture, TV culture, and like American versus British culture? We identified like Monty Python was something that shared all three in that Venn diagram. Yeah. Quantum Leap was a good show. It's nerd following. Like I don't see enough material in and around its nerd following. It maybe because it seemed really big for me at the time when it was going on. But you don't see it having a revival like some of these other ones are having.
Did they not do a new show?
I thought they did
do a new show, but then again, there's not kind of been the massive kind of fanfare. But then I think the difference with Quantum Leap was it was kind of like, it worked well because it wasn't a story about the technology, it was a story about the kind of the people. So it was more about the human interest part of it than the actual technology. Because if you went into something like X-Files was all kind of what's the monster of the week. There was an overarching story about slowly Scully was going, I actually believe, but there was always a kind of, here's the monster.
The best episodes of X-Files and the best episodes of Quantum Leap share this quality, which is the reason for science fiction. And that is, you take the world as it is and you add one extra element. That is fantastic. Mm-hmm. And then when you do that, that reflects on the human condition that is unchangeable. That is why Prospero and The Tempest works. Mm-hmm. And people don't think of Shakespeare as fantasy, but there's a lot of fantasy in Shakespeare, right?
But I mean, this is what I mean. See, for the thing, if we're going to go into this kind of level of discussion. Right?
Aren't we not allowed to?
No, we don't have to go.
David Hasselhoff?
Yeah, David. Let's bring David.
I never look back, Richard. I'm only in the now.
Anyway, I don't know if that was something to sing.
This is why. This is why I wanted to come back just for
just
that.
Just doing a really bad kind of. I don't know if
I'm surprised the Bee Gees didn't happen. You mentioned the Bee Gees and nobody broke into
that wasn't the Bee Gees. That was the theme tune to Baywatch. If you were paying attention.
I was, good. But we mentioned the Bee Gees.
We did mention the Bee Gees as well.
Yeah.
I don't know. Do you sing then? Are you a singer, type person? Switching away from obviously Prospero.
I sing badly often and by myself.
Really? I'm surprised at that. I thought you looked like the type of person that could maybe hold a tune and would be if you got you on karaoke. No. Yes.
My vocal range is poor.
That's a shame. That's a shame.
I mean, I can sing things down there. Do you know what my go-to karaoke song is, though? Have we talked about this? I do Crazy by Tammy Wynette, but in the accent of Elmer Fudd. I took voice lessons for this.
You took acting. You went and paid somebody to say.
Yeah. So
I want to sound like Elmer Fudd.
Yeah, no. Crazy.
Oh wow. Okay.
Crazy for feeling so lonely.
But if you say that like that, I'm thinking Team America.
So I wanted to win a competition so bad, and I understood my vocal limits that I actually got a voice coach to sing.
You got a training montage on the way for learning how to sing crazy like Elmer. Did you win the competition on that?
I did win that particular bet. I am very ruthless about it. How bad was I, Richard? I don't want to.
It wasn't bad. I mean, I can edit it post production, so I can put like an auto tune,
like trigger warning. Elmer Fudd.
Did I sound okay? Did you end up sounding like Kermit the Frog?
Oh yeah, that's another one. I've always wanted to be able to do Rainbow Connection for all the various reasons.
What about Kermit?
But there's a vocal range in there that I'm not capable of.
I know, but you have to practice. That's all it is.
It's a lot of practice. I did musicals in high school.
Just a bit of practice.
Yeah.
I'm not convinced you're willing to put the commitment into kind of like.
I did. No, I got a voice coach. I am willing to commit. I'm on my 8th year of working on Conquest Princess, Richard.
That's commitment. Should you be committed? That's the thing, Seppy.
I should be committed. My obsession, I don't let things go. I mean, I started that project, last time we talked about it, I started that project over 9 times.
See, that's just
crazy.
That's just when you know that you've got an idea and you've just got to kind of run with it. Where are we? I mean, let's talk board games for a while. I'm joined here by Seppy Yoon. You want to talk board games with me?
I feel like I'm the Miss Piggy to your Kermit the Frog, Richard. That's definitely the case. Oh, Kermit, let's do this.
I have a very particular set of skills. I will find you, and I will kill you.
That is a whole set of episodes that you should do. Richard has to do a voice and a character. Like, has to pick a voice and do a character. And everything has to be done in that
style all the way through. This is you know what? There is an episode out there where I did the entire episode as a pirate. All the way through. Didn't drop it once, didn't break once, all the way through. I could try to remember.
Did you watch Our Flag Means
No, I
Death?
didn't.
Did you watch the live action One Piece?
I started that.
Okay.
I started that, and I'm ready to do it. I'm also wanting to watch Our Flag Means Death as well, because I'm a big fan of everything in that show. So.
I was so surprised. I had set my expectations at a certain level for that show, and that blew me away. Okay. I had set my expectations for a One Piece one at the bottom floor, and I was entirely blown away. I could not believe that it delivered to a level that it did. It's crazy.
I've started the first episode, and I'm already getting the feeling this is somebody who made this show because they were interested in the source material instead of making a version of the show because they needed to make a version of the show and they know it would make some money. So I think it's going to be...
That's good?
I think it's going to be interesting. I always think that you need somebody
Did you enjoy the first episode?
So far it's been pretty good, yeah. I only started I started watching it, and then what did I do? Oh yeah, and then I decided to do something else because that's how I do. Because I generally I jump in and jump out of TV series. I don't necessarily have to watch anything in one go. I'm quite happy to. It annoys Lauren so much. Because, I'm quite happy, the other night we were watching The Prestige.
You treat all entertainment as charcuterie. You could have a little bit of this, you could have a little bit of that, you could take and leave it.
Yeah.
That's good.
Yeah, I don't... Yeah, I've not got a commitment. I mean, we were watching The Prestige, and we watched it about 4 ages ago, and it's one of my favourite... I really, really just I enjoy the film, I enjoy where it goes and what it does, and...
That's Hugh Jackman, correct?
Yes, it's Hugh Jackman and Christian Bale, and it is one of the... It's one of the films that's absolutely worthwhile watching on several different occasions, like most of the Christopher Nolan stuff, just to pick up on the stuff that you missed before. But it got to almost midnight, and I'm like, look, you're not working tomorrow. I am working tomorrow. I have to go to bed. And she's like, no, we cannot stop this film with, 45 minutes to go. And it's like, yes, I can. I can absolutely stop this film with 45 minutes to go and then put it away in a little box and then come back and finish off.
For folks who have not seen this movie, and no spoilers, you should definitely do this. This is a the first time you watch this movie, this is a punchline movie.
Yes.
You are so slugged by the punchline of this movie as to be shocking. And then the subsequent watchings of this show, of this movie is lining up, did this punchline get hinted at this entire time?
Yes.
How did this all piece together?
Yes.
And why did I not get more time with David Bowie? These are the questions that you're going to be asking yourself again and again.
Well, Nolan, it's one of these wonderful things that when you mention anything nowadays anywhere near kind of my mobile phone, then Facebook will, and even YouTube to some degree, starts showing me little shorts about, and apparently Bowie refused. Nolan offered him the role and says, I really want you for the role of Tesla. And Bowie wasn't interested, and then, apparently Nolan said to him, look, I'm not doing the film unless you're playing Tesla. He says, I wrote the part specifically for you. There's no other actor. I've not got a lineup of actors that I'm going to turn to if you don't bother doing this role. So, and it works so well.
It does, and you like him in the role, and you like him as it, and it's really good.
That is good.
But being able to walk through a playthrough and not have to finish things, that is its own set of skills. I'm surprised that you had me back, Richard.
Why?
You realize that our email train is the longest in all of my us sending like nonsensical non sequiturs to each other, one-liners. Was a joy to me. Like, oh my god, I'm like, I need more of this in my life.
Yeah, I know, but it's like I'm kind of like that. It's like I have people that I will not, and it's the functionality. It's the function of the podcast as well. Is that I speak to people and I'm like, okay, when was the last time we spoke? And folk go, you're not gonna. I don't know, 6 months ago, and it's like, no, it was 5 years ago, and it's like, but we're able to just drop straight into it. I'm a firm believer that people drift in. They drift in and drift out of your life. That everybody's kind of like got their own flow of their own life river, and it'll intermix with some people and mix together, and then it'll go its separate ways and stuff like that. And that there's some people that you meet that you kind of have the ability that that if you caught up with them again in another 3 or 4 years, it would almost be like it was 3 or 4 minutes and you're catching up with the conversation again.
That is exactly like this. You and I are picking off where we weren't before.
Just like that, that's where it kind of goes. Always a different, the dam is the place has been dammed. Things have moved on. Certain floodplains have flooded and things like that. Getting into general noise. This is, this is just a normal stream of. Where are we with Conquest Princess? Because when we spoke originally, it was in the process of going through kind of GameFound.
It is. And
it's still going through the process of going through GameFound. And there's been some updates, but where are you at the moment with kind of getting everything together and finishing all the play testing and moving it towards production kind of thing?
Richard, what would you say your love languages are?
I don't know.
You think about that and I'll tell you my number one love language, which is project management. Other people are gifts, like physical contact. Yeah. Mine is getting things to deliver on time. That is how I show my love. As you saw, I was early on time. On time. This is the thing. Yeah. So, Princess is in an exceptionally exciting place as a publisher right now. Mm-hmm. So we are going to have a sort of 90% ready prototype for PAX Unplugged that reviewers and media people and fans who schedule time with me can play. Wow. And the last major art thing that we need to do, which is so minor on the art list, is fill in and color the fashion items. Oh, okay. All the fashion items are completed. Their line art is great. The names, the mechanisms, all of that stuff is. We have a big announcement in October about what's next for Conquest Princess, and that's going to happen later this month. But it has everything to do with getting our game of space fashion ready for eyeballs. It got great reviews the last time. Mm-hmm. Not only did I get to spend time with you, which was amazing, but critically, people were cuckoo bananas for it. And all the social awkwardness aside, mm-hmm. We're hoping that we'll be able to capitalize on that coming up, and then people will be able to join on the fun. The ridiculousness of the One Piece universe makes me feel like my time of heralded like weirdo mashups has come.
Yeah.
So, Richard, you know there's a season in One Piece where the bad guys are Steven Tyler and Tyler Durden.
Really?
Yeah.
No.
Yeah, there's a season in One Piece where the bad guys are Steven Tyler from Aerosmith and Tyler Durden from Fight Club.
You see what you're getting now is it's kind of like I need to know now, which means that now that I have a little bit of time over the weekend, and I have to organize my time so I can get certain things done, because this is going to be the weekend where things are going to get done, and now you've added extra things onto the list.
I'm sorry,
I need to go away and watch One Piece. So the question.
All right.
Right. So
I need to give you two things about One Piece. Right. Number one, when I die because I'm old, please put on my tombstone, he's really sad that he did not get to see the end of One Piece. Number two, One Piece unfortunately requires that you watch 2 seasons of the anime before you know if it's for you.
Oh, I did not know that.
Yeah, you got to get through about 48 episodes before you realize if the show is for you or not. And if that frightens you, there's 1,100 episodes. That just precludes you from everything.
I want to watch the Netflix. It's like the same thing was leveled at Ahsoka recently. The people were saying like, oh yeah, this Ahsoka thing, this is brilliant, and it's like, but you can go in here and there's all these fully kind of fleshed out and developed characters that everybody's picking up, and you can see the relationships between everybody. And I think one of the biggest criticisms as well, you've got to watch like 7 seasons of Rebels to understand it, kind of thing, and then you've also got to watch Clone Wars as well if you want to find out kind of more about Anakin and stuff like that. And I was just like, surely if it was good enough, it wouldn't matter. I watched Ahsoka without watching any. I watched a little bit of Rebels, but not enough of Rebels to kind of know about the different relationships, and it seemed to be fine. Is One Piece going to be like, what is this all about? Or are the characters in Netflix developed enough that I don't need to be aware of all of their backstories in order to enjoy the kind of the show?
I will go out on a limb and say the Netflix version is so good that you are not required to watch the anime to enjoy it.
I am going to write that down. And I'm going to ask you.
I'm going to ask
you to sign this. So I'm writing this down just now.
As someone who's been watching the show for 25 years,
really,
I would definitely say this is like season 1 is going to take you through like episode 40 plus. Mm-hmm. For Netflix is going to take you through the first almost 50 episodes of the anime.
Is the anime slower paced though, or is the anime quite fast paced?
All right. If you want to try the anime, but you want bumpers against anime stuff, like, protection against it, there is a thing called One Pace.
Oh, okay.
One Pace is a fan edit of the show that cuts out the intros, the extros, and the repeated stuff.
Ah, okay.
So instead of it being a 25-minute episode, it's 17 or 12 minutes of essential stuff, and they're all edited together so you can watch it. So the first X number of story arcs end up being like in a 2-hour and 17-minute movie instead of X number of episodes. But you can watch it that way. One Pace. If somebody wants all the anime goodness without any of the stuff that might be a barrier, you can try to enjoy it that way too.
See, you sound like, this is kind of good, because I have my concerns because the whole Cowboy Bebop supposed fiasco. I don't know if you watched the Cowboy Bebop Netflix thing, and if you thought, if you had positive thoughts about it, or if you had, oh my goodness, what is this? kind of thoughts about it.
Did you like the anime?
I'm not.
Bebop
See, this is the
anime?
thing. I am not that. I've not watched the anime. It's one of these things. It's like I really need to sit down and watch the anime. But generally,
there's a section of Star Wars fans who are like, I don't care. It's Star Wars. I'm gonna enjoy it.
Yes.
Don't yuck my yum.
Yes.
Right.
Yes.
I had that feeling for the Bebop live action. I'm like, I understand it has lots of problems, but I wanted more Bebop. I got it in a new way. I liked the actors. Yeah. I liked the stuff that they did, and it was not good. It not compared to but I could still enjoy it because it was Bebop.
See, I understand this because I think that there's some people that like they're quite I have a friend that they say I like fan service. I am a fan and I like to get serviced, and and that's their view. Is they don't care kind of what's put out in front of them, because it's like in terms of like the Star Wars stuff just now. I mean, even in terms of like the Marvel stuff just now. There's like, it's literally like buffet stuff. And they keep they're just rolling in kind of more meals for everybody. I mean, in the last kind of like 2 years, we've had like it or lump it. We had like a whole Boba Fett. We had a whole
binge.
Kind of Boba Fett
kind of
thing, yeah. And we've had the Mandalorian, but we've had like Obi-Wan Kenobi, and now we've had like Ahsoka, and then for the Marvel people, they've had like She-Hulk and Miss Marvel, and they've had Loki again. And
She-Hulk is so good and so experimental. Loki is so good and so experimental. Like the Scarlet Witch, all those like retrying the formula are fantastic. When they try to go to formula, things are not as exciting for things like for people like you and me. But since we mentioned Ahsoka again, I would make an argument. First of all, as far as ways to watch something without having to do all of it, the essential Clone Wars and Rebels will get you through everything that you need to know about Ahsoka, so you don't have to watch 7 seasons. Yeah. I think the total number of episodes for that is like 20 whatever, and they're good episodes. Ahsoka's leads up to what I would argue is top 3 best Star Wars in all of Star Wars.
Wow, that's a bold.
The last 4 episodes. The last 4 episodes of the Clone Wars are so freaking surprising.
Yes.
And they do require you to know all this stuff have gone on this massive journey with all the content. But if you went on that journey, those last 4 episodes of the Clone Wars are crazy good. Like, shockingly, somebody should have warned me how good they jaw-dropping good. Like at the end of, because I had my Disney Plus for my period of time. I'm like, I'm gonna watch this essential stuff. I would not watch that show just playing through. I'm not enough of a fan to put through bad episodes, but I did. And then at the end, nobody had warned me. There's the bomb of those last 4 episodes, and it goes off like massively exceeding any kind of expectations for that show.
There's YouTube cuts as well. You can actually go on YouTube and you get people kind of like explaining, here's the main things that you need to know in order to understand kind of like things like Ahsoka. And I watched it and I didn't really feel I needed to, because the characters kind of came over as being kind of like completely developed and completely ready to be kind of mucked around with and given their direction and stuff like that. I thought the casting on it was superb on Ahsoka. I think,
it was good. I feel that way for One Piece. I think the casting is incredible.
See, I don't. As I say, I won't be able to judge kind of One Piece until I actually go ahead and kind of like fully watch it, and then I'll be in the situation where I'll judge it for what it does, as opposed to what it lives on in my head as headcanon. Because I think that's a big issue with some of these things, is that if you go back and watch stuff like that you adored, and it's been a while since you've watched it and you've adored it, you build up certain kind of expectations in your head.
The Last Starfighter does not hold up, Richard. Don't watch it again.
No, see, I saw that, and I keep seeing that, and The Last Starfighter was kind of like, yeah. But then they keep on talking about remaking it, and it's just like, there's some things that just need to be sitting there. Like the Flight of the Navigator as well.
Yeah,
I heard that we're going to make
You do not need to defend the Frontier against Zur and the Kodan Armada, Richard. You do not need to do that again.
Go back to bed, or I'm going to tell Mum about your Playboys.
Louis, go back to Louis. Yeah, go back to bed, Louis.
It was like Alex's girlfriend. Like she looked like ages. They all looked like 30. That was back in the years. Like, I'm just a teenager. How am I going to get out of this place? And it's like, Alex, man, I don't mean to be tough on you, but you look like you've had one hell of a paper round. Because there's no way you're about 17, 18, you look about 40.
The actor who played Centauri is also the Music Man, and also is Toddy from Victor Victoria.
Yeah.
Like, that guy's career, there are things about that movie that I understand. But this goes back to our earlier point. You can enjoy something and still be critical of it. It's a skill you have to pick up, but it is like being able to eat a Twinkie or bad pizza. You can say, this could be so much better, but it's pizza, so I'm gonna eat it. Richard, does pizza have the same control over people in Scotland as pizza has here in the United States?
Okay. So let's talk about why Scotland was famous for a while of being literally the heart disease capital of Europe, because
of meat.
In Scotland, you have the ability, right, to get what they call as a deep fried pizza.
Oh my God.
So what they do is they take a pizza, half a pizza. You can either have sort of half a pizza or even a quarter of a pizza, but you get half a pizza, and they just stick it right in the fryer. They just stick
That's
it
amazing.
next to the chips and stuff like that.
Did you guys go through that trend where people were replacing bread with chicken, like fried chicken?
No.
Oh yeah, there was this sandwich where instead of it being bread, it was instead deep fried chicken patties or the like.
It's just
I'm here for things that appall you, Richard. Like when I find something, I'm like, yes, bring me the indignation, Richard. Bring me.
I can't eat a lot of stuff because I've got the gluten intolerance and stuff like that.
Okay, good.
So I mean, a lot of the time, because it's
you're already on the.
I'm already on the keto. I'm already on the ketone. I mean, I don't. This shape isn't something that I work hard at. I work hard at keeping in shape, and it's mostly because I don't eat the delicious kind of deep fried pizzas.
One of my great pleasures that happens between point A and point B is Luke from GameFound. He and I are Facebook friends, and seeing him power lift makes me happy. I'm like, that's amazing. You own you do this. And you're doing it for you, and it is a thing that you are celebrating. I love it. I do not like it when he shows up to a meeting without sleeves. I find that a little questionable. But in fact, he's in his gym where he's doing the powerlifting. You go, Luke.
He's just lifting. He's close to lifting cars and stuff.
Yeah, it's a massive amount of weight.
And he's just that, woomph. And he's just lifting up all this stuff. And you're just because that's when things move, but I think past a fad. I think you get people that they go, right, okay, I'm going to take up jogging. And they jog for a bit. Mm-hmm. And sometimes when they take up, especially a health thing, it's I can't do a health thing unless I've got somebody with me. to keep
a
on
battle
it,
buddy
maybe,
is good for that stuff.
to do that health
Yeah, it keeps
thing.
you honest.
And then you get, but then you get some people that like they become super focused, and you just enjoy the fact that they are obviously they've got that grit and determination, and they're just continuing to do it. So I do, yeah. I mean,
and that's a very specific form of athleticism, powerlifting, right?
Exactly.
It's definitely a sport. It's definitely athletic. It is, but it is saying, I want to be able to lift a car.
That is like literally saying, like, if there was like a situation, right?
I need to be able to save like
a telephone pole fell on somebody, like it was a flood, right? And the rivers, the rivers burst its banks and it's cascading down the street, and then like there's like an old lady and the telephone pole kind of falls over her and traps her leg. They're just gonna Luke's just gonna come in and he's just gonna like bend. He's just gonna whoa and just lift this whole thing, and it's like his entire life has been waiting for this,
I absolutely love that specificity. I mean, and that's also why we have marathons, right?
Yeah.
It's the Battle of Marathon. I ran the 26.2 miles. Like, they have that for firefighters in the United States where you have to be able to climb up and down 22 flights of stairs in an hour as well, because that's the number of stairs that people who are rescuing people from 9/11 do. Like, wow. I like a really specific goal that seems like, okay, I need, like, why is this number arbitrary? No, this number is set because of a human situation. Like, the Battle of Marathon, a tragedy in the United States, a little girl trapped under a car. Like, like something where you can envision the whole story.
So how many times have you been hanging around flights of stairs, hoping a firefighter will be running up and decide to carry you downstairs?
I'm like, hey, if you want to throw me over your shoulder and carry me up a flight of stairs, please buy me a drink first.
So when's PAX Unplugged? Because people keep talking about it. I keep getting confused because Essence just finished.
Yeah, did you? When are you going to go 1 year? Is that going to be a thing for you?
I don't know.
UK Game Expo is so big now.
It's scary. It's kind of scary. I like. Do you know what? Tabletop Scotland is moving to the Highland Show Centre, because only in Scotland would we have an exhibition centre which is entirely devoted to Highland Show, which is it's kind of near the Highlands, but not really near the Highlands. It's kind of the central point where everybody can kind of get together. So the next year, Tabletop Scotland, the venue is going to be an awful lot bigger, and it's going to be right near the airport. So I guess what we're saying is everybody that is kind of like based around the world can now hit Tabletop Scotland, and
I want to be big enough. Help me make Conquest Princess big enough that I can afford to go to Tabletop Scotland. Richard, I think that would be incredible. I would love that to be my show. I'm like, and I kill it in Shenzhen because there's 1 million people who play Mouse, Cheese, Cat, Cucumber, and then the Highland Center for... These are my people.
You've got a plan now. You've got to hit China. Make China work. And then
I would like the other places that are looking at Mouse, Cheese, Cat, Cucumber for localization are I did not think China would be the first one to hit, but it did, and we're really grateful for that. And the other ones will be surprising to you when I tell you later if they come through.
So business wise, so what does that mean? Does that mean that do they commission and order a certain number of units, and then does it just kind of, is that it? Is set up and then it goes to a distributor?
There's a lot of ways. Localization is a fascinating subtopic, and it usually has 3 forms.
Yeah.
Okay? They get the rights to it and do their own thing in the country themselves.
Mm-hmm.
Okay? They commissioned you to do a language version for you, and you take care of everything else.
Right.
Right? And then the third one is you get multiple people in a region working together, because you can do that. Like there's a lot of European companies, and they pool together, and you do print runs, and one person, either you or the other person's in charge of getting this. And depending on how you divvy up the responsibilities is how much the royalties goes from point A to point B.
And you've not explained how you're doing it then.
No, we let our Chinese partner have the rights.
All right, okay.
Like they have the right to produce it for China and in the Chinese market.
So they've paid for the license. So depending on the amount of sales that they get, do you get a royalty off the back of that then, or is that?
It is per copy and by how many they print.
All right, okay.
For my particular, yeah.
Cool. No, the only reason I'm asking because Bez, they with Yogi, which is their card game. I mean, that's translated into so many different languages now, and I think they get kind of like an ongoing royalty. So I was just wondering how that.
The goal is to be huge in Germany. Like the per capita board gaming in Germany is the highest, I think, anywhere. Yeah, like friends of mine in Wisconsin, they're huge in Germany. I'm like, oh my gosh, like it's a big deal. Like the German market for board games, depending on the title and whatever, it can be bigger than the United States market.
Okay, but
just by the number of people who are buying.
What's better then? Is it better? Kind of get, because I was thinking about this the other day, and the reason I was thinking about this the other day was because it's because of David Hasselhoff, because you're always thinking about because I can't. Some people stand in the darkness, trying to go into the light. Hey kid, and there was a cameo in Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 2 as well, but. Besides that, I was thinking about this the other day because I was in Waterstones, which is a book chain. It's kind of like what you would say, is it Barnes and Noble that you have over there? They book chain, yeah, kind of
Barnes
thing.
and Noble.
Yeah, Barnes and Noble. Barnes and Noble. And Barnes and Noble. And
it sounds like a trading company.
It does, doesn't it? Is that,
or a partnership to do something legislative in Britain.
4,000 shares you want to buy. I'll just pass you over. Thank you welcome to the Barnes and Noble Investor Center. Thank you. But anyway, so I was in Waterstones, which is like Barnes and Noble. And they had, I noticed that they had a few games from Hachette. And I noticed that they had a few games from Alley Cat Games as well. So Alley Cat Games have signed a deal recently. They've got they've got a couple of their tin games. I think Kitten's one of them. And so they've got a couple of their tin games in there. And they've also got one of their bigger box games as well. And and I was thinking, like, once you're in there, that must be a good situation to be in, because I'm guessing once you're in there and based on the performance, it then becomes. I was just wondering how the marketing works on that, because if you get signed into a bigger place,
it's beneficial definitely to have happen. It's not without risk.
Mm-hmm.
The big book chains require you to have the same kind of contract that they do with books. And that means you are obligated to usually buy back anything they don't sell.
So sale or return then, kind of thing.
It's definitely a thing.
Mm.
Yeah. Like getting into a chain, and what that does is its whole own, like, a game topic. Yeah. This is a whole game topic.
Because I saw, like, because Tinder Blocks was there and they had the bigger box kind of Phantom Ink, and I was thinking, this is kind of cool, because I guess on a marketing point of view, you can then say to people, well, if you like the game, you can either get in on our website or actually go into your local kind of bookshop, your Waterstones, and actually pick it up. And then it's a case of, in that side of things, where did you push your marketing then? Because from my point of view, if I knew it was sale or return, I would then say, well, go to Waterstones.
You've touched on a number of different things.
I have.
Number one, yes, and right before you're supposed to go too. The number one challenge for an indie publisher like myself is getting to the other side of the sort of media stampede. It isn't that there aren't enough gamers or games. Mm-hmm. It is just very hard to be one small voice in a choir of voices trying to get you to pay attention. And so your choices are, for people to discover you, are to go to places where people are in a searching mode rather than go to the internet and hopefully the algorithm decides to be nice. And so going to a Barnes & Noble means like the number of gamers since 2020 has more than doubled, and the largest segment of those are women gamers. And so where do women gamers go? They go to bookstores.
All of them?
Not all of them. Obviously, I'm talking in generalities.
It's just like, that's why the last time I went to my bookstore, it was crammed. Full.
Yeah, no, it's a real thing, and that's sort of the benefit. Yeah. So why would you want to do that? Like, what is the major benefit? It allows you to get in front of people who won't see your stuff otherwise. The algorithms are really unfriendly for women to see gaming content, just because how expensive it is to get women to see it on social media.
Yeah, I mean, it's quite easy to look at my stats across various different platforms, and depending on the platform, I think Facebook's one of the main ones. And it's like who's watched your reels or who's watched your content or whatever, and it's quite clearly, it's always kind of like 95% male. You know what I mean?
It's because you have the title gaming in it.
Yeah.
The only way that you can overcome that is other words. Like, there's a reason that Rosie, the cozy board gamer, has the word cozy also in it. Oh. Cozy is the key word to, if you did a whole series, Richard, on cozy games for a month, your demographic would definitely shift.
That's interesting. I might need to kind of like consider that kind of.
And Rosie's incredible. I don't know if you've gotten to go to things in and around. Yeah.
No, I've heard. Rosie. No, I've already. I've heard about this. I've heard about Cozy Rosie already because an episode which is coming out soon, with a person by the name of Dav, who is going to be crowdfunding a fold-away gaming table. Look at me doing.
Oh yeah, that did really. Yeah, that did really well on Kickstarter.
They're releasing their version, but Cozy Rosie is the person that's doing kind of like, they've been helping them kind of do that, and it's like, okay, so this is becoming somebody that's becoming an influencer, and I guess when you come into the influencer, it's a case of, are you getting the word out and about beyond the kind of the accept normal norms? As in, do I? Because okay, so here's the thing, right? I'd like more people to listen to the podcast, right?
Yes, because they should,
right?
If you love non sequiturs and nerd stuff, listen to Richard.
Yeah, but it's kind of like meta now, because what you're doing is you're telling people to listen to the podcast who are actually listening to the podcast just now. So it's like, go back and listen to more of the podcast and keep on kind of going. But what I'm saying is,
it's the Nolan thing. You're incepting them into the previous versions of themselves.
I'm even teneting it now. I'm probably going backwards and going in inverse kind of energy, kind of nonsense. But at the same time, right? At the same time,
yes,
I would need to look at. You're right, completely changing all the potential keywords and stuff like that I'm putting in the titles, and I need to miss out gaming altogether, because it would instantly...
Well, it's guests also, right?
Yeah.
Guests and titles and things. The person who has the best stats, and by best I mean most women on their feed per 100,000 people, probably is Jason Headley from TikTok. He's got almost 600,000 people now, and his percentage of women is in the 90s.
Really?
Yeah, and it's because he started in Book Talk.
Ah, right.
So, the algorithm, it's not that your content is impenetrable to women, it's the algorithms make it so
it never gets found in the
they
first
would
place.
they would never get found. Yeah,
Which
like
is awful.
the people who are competing for their attention, and that's a real problem. That ended up being a real huge issue for Conquest Princess. It's an everybody title,
Yes.
but more than half of everybody are women or non-binary people.
Yeah. Exactly.
Right? And so now we're in a land where the algorithm says, hey, 52% of the people that you think this game is for aren't going to get to see it.
That's rubbish.
Is rubbish.
Are you still open for kind of like late pledges on Conquest Princess Fashionist Power?
We are. And then we're going to do this other thing, and you're going to yell at me when you realize this thing later. But yes, late pledging is amazing. And it's open.
How long are you going to keep it
So
open
people should
for?
do it.
I mean, is that another side of the crowdfunding then? Because one of the
yes, and late pledges for us will close when it's on the boat from China.
Because you've got enough, you'll have enough to. I take it you have to make a calculated decision on the extra copies that you might need to fulfill any potential kind of late pledges.
Right.
Ah, right.
And so
clever.
Right.
Smart.
And I might cut it, we might cut it off early if we have to based on the print run, whatever it is.
Because I get.
But at the very least, for the fancy stuff and the short run stuff before. And knock on wood, we are hoping to be on a boat for May 1st.
Wow. That's pretty cool.
Yeah. It is actually, because my love language is project management, Richard.
So,
what supervillain do you think you are most like?
What supervillain? Oh.
Or big villain. It could be any cinema or villain related. Like who would you think you are, or either question, not both. Who would you aspire to be as a villain?
I'm probably like Vector. You know what I mean? Out of Despicable Me. You know, that's it. Because I'd like to think that I'm kind of like I'd be a good villain. But I'm, just dreadful. I'd be I'd be like, yeah, look at this shark gun. This device that automatically hides all of your keys. That kind of business.
That's a really good choice. That
what
lines up
about
multiple
you
ways.
then? What about you then? What villain would you be?
Probably the bad guy. Either at the post scene of the Incredibles or the actual bad guy from the Incredibles. I could be the Underminer. I am beneath you, but nothing is beneath me.
With your hat on. You need to. You've got technically, you've got enough time. You've got 19 days or 18 days to make yourself a Halloween costume.
Oh my god!
You just need a hard hat and some silver. You need a hard hat, some silver paint, a big kind of old vintage jacket, and some claws, like a mole.
I would love that. That's a good fit for me. If anybody ever cosplays as one of the Conquest Princess characters without being goaded by anybody that I know, I will feel like I have finally arrived. That or an unsolicited tattoo. That would be a thing. Oh my gosh.
Right. We're gonna wrap it up. Because I have to go.
All right, goodbye, friend.
Don't just go like that. Just like that, disappearing. If people have listened along tonight, right, and they've went, what?
If they're still here,
and they're still here,
they're still here,
and they're still here, and they're still here. Where can they find you on interweb nets, interweb nets, the internet mission?
If they're interested in game design, they should follow us on YouTube for Board Game Design Tip of the Day. 15 seconds to help you get that game out of your head. If they're interested in progress for Conquest Princess, they should follow us on TikTok or our newsletter at fightingabox.com.
And if you're interested in following me, then you'd have to run because I move very fast. But go to the internet
in a squeaky chair.
Search for We're Not Wizards and you'll find us in all the different places. Faces, worn out Stacey's. And you can go to weirdnotwizards.co.uk or you can go to weirdnotwizards.com. And if you've listened along tonight and you have enjoyed what you've listened to, and this just it's like winding up one of those toys that goes and just watching it go like Duracell bunny without batteries. Then go to the podcast catcher of choice and give us a rating or a review. And if you are going to be giving us a rating or a review, don't give us 10 stars because it makes me big-headed, but at the same time, don't give me 1 because it maketh me cry, and I am an ugly crier. Give us something in the middle, like, I don't know, 5 because it's average.
7.
And I'm just a little
7.
bit average. But it's not 7 because it only goes up to 5. But the person who's not been average is the rather wonderful, rather fantastic Susan Sarandon diving off the cliff. Seppy Yoon. He'll be probably going to come back soon.
I would love to come back, Richard, just to see you. I think it's hysterical.
Let's do that. And there's only we've already established the whole wizardry thing, so there's only one more thing to do. It's a goodbye from Seppy. Say goodbye, Seppy.
Goodbye, Seppy.
And it's a goodbye from me. Remember, remember, stay safe, roll 6s, make something awful, and get yourself. Don't just get yourself a princess in life, get yourself somebody who's ready to fight by your side, get yourself a conquest princess because they're going to take you back and battle next to you in their little cube, or maybe they're just going to let you fight in a box. Until the next time, goodbye.
A wizard is never late. Nor is he early. He arrives precisely when he means to.